everyone. Welcome back to the Profitable Franchisees podcast. My name is Tracy Leake and I'm your host. This is the podcast where we bring powerful stories and strategies to help you to be a more profitable franchisee. Now, I'm excited today because we've got Shaun Birley joining us, and Shaun is a digital content creator. He has over 120,000 Instagram followers. I went and checked this morning to see where you were at. Shaun, actually, the reason I've brought Shaun on is that he's really creative in his digital content. He also works with a lot of major brands around the world. He specializes in travel and men's fashion. I'm certainly not his demographic, but I follow everything he does because it's always great ideas and content. The funniest thing is that when people are talking to me and they mention Shaun, I say, "Oh, I know Shaun." Most of the time they don't believe me. And the thing is that I don't know Shaun through his social media. I know him through his business, because behind the scenes, Shaun's actually a franchisee within Express. Back in 2016-17, Shaun, along with his business partner Sam, actually won Australian Franchisee of the Year. The other thing a lot of people don't know is Shaun also has a degree in marketing and communication. So this is why we've brought Shaun on, because when you actually watch his social media, unlike a lot of, influencers out there who are just putting up pretty pictures and saying, "Hey, look at me," Shaun actually delivers a strategy behind his content, which is why I think a lot of major brands talk to Shaun. So super excited to have someone of Shaun's caliber on. So welcome, Shaun. Thanks so much for taking time in between South America and Hong Kong and all over the place to talk to us.
I'm so stoked to be here, Tracy. It's awesome. It's been a long journey to get here, and you've been a part of that journey. So thanks for helping us along the way.
Oh, my pleasure. I don't think I've been that much of a help. I think I've been more of a person to laugh at conferences with. So let's start off by talking just briefly a little bit about your story of how you got
Mhm.
into InExpress, and then how you actually went from that to adding this sideline of doing digital content, which I don't think is really a sideline. I don't think we should call it that anymore. But tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so I graduated university on a Friday and bought a franchise on a Monday. So I didn't actually have the time to actually spend sort of traveling or doing, like, I guess, a second gap year from university, right? And one of the reasons why I finished on Friday and started on a Monday was because my dad was the franchisor at the time. So I bought a franchise with my business partner Sam, who was my childhood friend since I was 12. We went to boarding school together. Then we ended up doing college and university together. Finished with my advertising and marketing degree and went straight into a freight and logistics franchise. So nothing to do with my degree whatsoever. But at the time, one of the reasons I got involved with the business is because it was a good opportunity to work with my dad. We had both worked at DHL, the courier company. Dad had worked there for about 20, up to about 30 years, actually. And then I was working at DHL as well in my university holidays, on and off for about 8 years, and I was working in unloading cargo freight planes at nighttime. So I was pulling off from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., 6 a.m., the graveyard shift. Sydney International Airport, I was pulling all the cargo off freight planes with DHL. And so I had a background of the operational aspect of what it was like to work for a freight company. And then so at that time, my dad had bought this master franchise, and also I was the first franchise that he had sold. So I was the first cab off the rank. There was a couple of franchises already involved, and I think the way that Lindsay, my dad, wanted to take the business was a fully automated business. So he wanted people to jump online. Essentially, we would say it was the example that I give to other people that aren't in the business is like it's Webjet. So you jump online and you want to book a parcel from here to New York. It'll give you the options with DHL, FedEx, UPS, TNT, and it'll give you a range based on size, dimension, urgency, and price, right? So it allows businesses to sort of choose what kind of freight they want. And then that particular courier that you select comes and takes the parcel away. So we got involved in the franchise that way. And then Sam and I had worked in that business for about 5-6 years until we moved into franchise sales. And that's when I started working in the head office. After we sold about, far out, I think we sold about 12 to 15 franchises. Then I was then shifted from franchise sales into franchise business coaching. So then I helped the franchises that we sold turn into profitable franchises, which was really good as well. Uh, Along the way of selling franchises and doing the business coaching, I was traveling quite a lot for work, and I was young at that time. I was probably doing business coaching at the age of 26, 27. And I felt like my age didn't give me much credibility at the time. Although we did have the numbers to back up our success in the franchising network. We were the fastest growing franchise in the world at the time. We won franchise of the year for Australia, which was awesome. And we had made ourselves into the top 10 franchise. We had about 450 franchises in the globe at that time, and we had moved our way into the top 10. So amongst our internal franchising group, we had the credibility. But I think at the time, for me, I felt like my age didn't give me the credibility. So I started wearing suits. I was wearing very professional attire. I was going out and getting custom-made suits. And I started documenting along the way with my travels around all the different countries around Australia, cities around Australia. I was documenting my travel and the clothes that I was wearing. And that's when my social media started climbing. And then it got really out of hand, is the best way to describe it. It went from like my personal Instagram page to 120,000 followers. And it was, Shaun, where are you buying these suits? I needed advice. I'm going for a job interview. Hey, my boyfriend is going to a wedding, or my boyfriend and I are getting married. I need a suit. So all these sort of like fashion questions started coming up. And that's when the transition from InExpress and franchising went into essentially self-branded marketing came through. And that's about 3-4 years ago. I made the shift from removing myself from our franchises into full-time social media. And then now it's gone into full-blown ad campaigns with brands for social media marketing, and sort of sit down with them and come up with a strategy where I'm sort of the person and ambassador behind the videos now as well.
As everybody will see, there's so many things and facets to Shaun's story. I completely forgot about the business coaching section when we were talking about it. I started coaching when I was 28, so I'm just way older than you, but I started when I was 28 as well. So
yeah,
when you get down to it, this is why I wanted to talk to you, is of how that actually developed. So it wasn't something you purposely set out to start with. It was something that came along, but it's your business experience. So when I'm talking to franchisees, the biggest thing we talk about is having that digital presence at a local area. So that social media marketing in a local area. And a lot of franchisees go, you know what, I'm just going to leave all the social media to head office to do on a brand level. But why do you think that it's really important for a franchisee to have a digital presence on their social media at that local area?
Well, it's essentially free marketing now. And I think sometimes the reach that you can get through local area marketing on social media can now outperform radio, billboard, things like that, someone with like, a bricks and mortar franchise, let's say Brumby's Bakery or Subway, can do is advertise and geographically target those areas with social media. You can be far more specific, where I think traditional means of marketing, for instance, like local newspapers and things like that, depending on how niche your franchise is, social media allows you to really hone in and target on a specific age group, specific demographic. And it's rather than taking a shotgun approach and paying for traditional media, you can really focus your budget and your target on a more sort of sniper approach and really focus on the people that you really want into your business. So I think the social media aspect for both for Instagram, Facebook, and let's say TikTok, Pinterest, these can be far more fine-tuned rather than something that's been slapped on a billboard or a bus stop.
I think also too, having that feeling that, if you see someone on social media, you walk into store, or they turn up for a service and it's the same person, it's not just some faceless model, it's actually you. So it
100%.
creates that connectivity. So you
Yeah.
mentioned quite a few different platforms there. Is there something, like everybody always asks, which one should I do? Should I be doing them all? What's your thought pattern around choosing which social media platform and how many of them you should be using?
I think a lot of people say you should be doing it all, and that's what probably I reckon probably the advice that's given to a lot of people is just share it amongst all platforms. But I feel like if you gravitate to TikTok more, you gravitate to Instagram more, or you gravitate to YouTube more, then do the type of content that you enjoy making for that platform. It becomes less of a chore. So people consume content on all those three different platforms differently. And I guess the best way to describe it is, I heard the other day someone explained to me, it's like a highway, right? People who watch YouTube, are going like 50 kilometers an hour. People on social on Instagram are going 90 kilometers an hour. People go on TikTok are going 110 kilometers an hour, right? So they consume at different rates and different paces, and people consume that content at different times as well, right? So when you make content for Instagram and put it onto YouTube, people have to slow down to kind of watch that content, and vice versa. If you're putting long form content on Instagram, people are just going to swipe past it because they're going a lot faster. They want to see stuff more rapidly. So I would suggest focusing on maybe one of them, and focus on doing the content that you enjoy consuming as well. And I think create the content for that platform. Pretty much focus on one at the moment. And then if you get better and understand how to, I guess, consume and create content for that platform, you're going to enjoy it more as well. Then I'd start branching over to different forms afterwards as well. So if you're not new to social media, it can be so overwhelming trying to create 3 forms of different content for 3 different platforms. So I would suggest sticking to one and becoming at least good at that specific type of content for that platform.
Such a good point, because that's probably what stops a lot of people is it's that overwhelm rather than just going, hey, let's get started. Because like if you actually, and I did that this morning, I scrolled all the way back through your Instagram to your first posts compared to what you're doing now. You've improved,
So
shall
different.
we say?
Yeah. Yes.
Gone are the days where, Sam was probably taking your photos compared to now where you're doing professional stuff. So in your eyes, what if we go with that scenario where a franchisee, we're doing social media content, attracting our local area, what makes great social media content? From your experience and expertise, what's the stuff that really, because it's about engagement. It's not just about creating something pretty. It's about people actually seeing it and engaging with it and that leading to potential business. So what makes great content?
Again, it also it varies on the platform type as well, right? So like if you have a look at TikTok and Instagram, you need to capture people's attention in that first 2 or 3 seconds, either with creative hooks. I think there's like you're saying, back in the day, the content's very different on Instagram, right? It used to be just a nice, pretty photo, but now you've got the introduction of reels and stories. It gives people a bigger insight into people's businesses and personalities, and people now follow people for them, right? So like you were saying before, people want to walk into a franchise and see the person that's advertising. They want to see the franchisee. People buy from people, and people don't really like have brand loyalty on social media to a brand. They usually have brand loyalty to the founder or the person running the business and what the business is providing lifestyle wise for that person. That's the most interesting thing. People like to follow people and people like to buy from people. So your content needs to be one of 2 things for me. It either needs to be educational or it needs to be entertaining, right? It's not pretty anymore, right? It used to be pretty. It used to be a pretty location, pretty suit, pretty photo, pretty person. I feel like those days are gone. There's 2 pillars. It's educational and it's comical. And you can do that by gauging people's attention in the first 3 minutes by, a really creative hook. If it's educational, right, and you're a Brumby's Bakery, it's like 3 things that you didn't know about our bread, or like 3 key things about making sourdough that you probably didn't know about. And then alternatively, it would probably be in the comical side about things. It would be the staff in the business things that they do, quirky things that they do, or someone's always like, it gives you an insight that's funny about the people working in the business, all the different personalities, the traits of the people working in the business. That gives an insight and gives the brand a bit more of a human element. So I'd say those would be your two content pillars. It would be, draw people in with humor, draw people in with education, and then once you've got them there, then you can start to do, every now and then mix in some product placement, specials, and things like that. But you want to earn the trust of followers via either educational or comical content, entertaining content.
That's a really good point. I love that. Where are we at with how professional your content needs to be? Like, we all have a phone. We can all, our phones are pretty good nowadays with their camera, but you also use professional videographers and photographers to help you as well. When is that mix?
I'm ready. Yeah.
If you were talking to a franchisee, should they be investing, because social media is free to post, but should they still be investing in that to get some professional help with them around that content creation to get a better result? Or is there some tips of things that they could be doing themselves to just up their game a bit? Or should we be keeping it really natural? Where are we at in this whole cycle in social media?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. The reason I have professional camera equipment is because a lot of the brands want to use the stuff that I shoot for their own professional Instagram, for their own email marketing, for their other platforms, websites, and things like that. So that's another element to my game where I create, advertorial style photo shoots and then almost like TV campaign style videos. But as a small business, I definitely wouldn't be doing that unless unless that video was going to then go to somebody else to post, right? So no, I think there's two things that you need. I think you need your phone. That's one thing, a good iPhone. And the other thing is good audio, clear audio. So, I mean, for me, I have a microphone that's linked to my phone. And that way, if I get further away from the camera, the audio stays clear. You don't lose the quality of audio. You don't lose the engagement of somebody watching the video. So I think keep it streamlined, keep it nimble. And that's just an iPhone. So when it comes to creating content, I mean, you also have to be consuming the content, right? So what I do on my phone is I go through reels and go have a look at competitors. I even look at people in completely different industries where they'll make a reel that's quite funny. And I go, how can I take that funny video and apply it to my business, which this could be a product business, but how do I create the same storyline and humor for a service-based business? So I have got a video, sort of file on my Instagram where it's just content ideas. I hit the save button, save it to that file. Once a month, I go back into that folder and then I write down all those key ideas and how I develop them into something that will work for my audience and my demographic, and then block out a day where I record 5, 6, 7 videos. So that would be my strategy. Keep it streamlined and keep it simple. Keep the concepts. They don't have to be your ideas. They can be somebody else's ideas made better and tailored for your business. But I would keep it very streamlined and low cost.
I love that. So let's think about that. You've got to be very careful when you're promoting on social media and that balance between, sharing content and being quite promotional. And as we said, you get paid a lot by some very big brands. As an example, you just came back from Hong Kong with Cathay Pacific. So this is the level we're talking about of the brands that Shaun's working with. So when you're creating that promotional content, how do you do that as a franchisee without it coming across too salesy, or should they come across salesy? How do they get that balance between having something that's promotional without it being over the top?
Yeah, so I think that's kind of when you need to figure out those three pillars, right? We're talking about, educational, promotional, and then maybe entertaining, right? If you're a business I'm a big believer in what we call subtle promoting. So, if you are a small bakery, doing the content that's educational and or comical and entertaining within the business, you're advertising it without advertising it. You're in there. People are coming in because, they've seen something funny or they see something that they like, right? What happens is you're giving content away or educational content away for free, which is what people want, right? That's going to draw people in. Once the people are there, then you can start advertising your product, your product stuff. If there's new Easter buns coming in or whatever it is, right, for this holidays. So I don't think you need to be consistently advertising a product or a service. They're going to go onto your page. You're trying to get people to click through to see what you're about, right? So if you're promoting something or promoting education, what you're doing is you're going to get people onto the page, onto where all your information is going to be on social media anyway. So I think it's a balance of offering something that isn't a promotion, and then offer something that is specific to something that you want to sell. For me, like for instance, like when I'm working with brands, I want people to buy stuff, and I know that I've got like sponsored content coming out, whether if it's suit, alcohol, fashion. I'm aware that that is coming up on my social media platforms. Like I've got one coming up with a couple of wine brands, and but the thing is, I'm trying to figure out how do I turn this wine ad that's like buy this wine into an educational piece, right? So they won't know until the end of the video, but I'm doing I'm cooking for my housemates here, and I'm doing 3 different wines from a wine brand with 3 different foods that I cook at home. But I'm not going to do the cleaning up. They're going to do the cleaning up because I'm doing the cooking. But I know that's going to be an ad, and then the days that I'm leading up to that, I've got content of, hey, what 5 shirts that you need for summer. Right? I'm not promoting any brand. It's just free educational content. The top 3 shoes that you need for a holiday, so all this. So that's the tactic I would take. You want to be luring people in and to follow you based on educational or entertaining content, and then hit them with the promotional stuff. It doesn't always have to be promotional. Have fun. It's meant to showcase your personality.
You know how people pair wines to food? You should pair wines to your outfit and go, this is, this is this sort of wine.
Very good idea.
This one, that
Absolutely.
would be good.
I like that.
Of doing
Absolutely.
it. So I believe, we all know, we've all heard, social media influencers, and a lot of franchisees know that that's a good way to promote their brand, is to have a social media influencer who might come in store or use their services and to do it. How do you set that up? Like, I'm forever telling franchisees, you don't necessarily need to go after the big names because, like, for example, like I could go after you to do something for me, but it doesn't fit because your demographic is not really interested in what I'm talking about. So even though you have 120,000 followers on Instagram, it's not going to get the same cut through as, say, you're in a gym and you've got a local physiotherapist who's maybe only got 1,000 followers, but they're really good followers. Plus they're 3 doors down from you. That could be a better promotion. What are your thoughts around that? But also, how, from your side as being someone that people contact to actually hire, how do you reach out to them? How do you set up that sort of a deal? What do you ask for? What should you expect?
Well, there's 2 parts to that question, right? It's like who and how, right? So the who, you've nailed the head because you've nailed it. Like if a small local bakery, you keep using this example because it's the easiest one for me, comes up to me and asks, I would 100% say I'm the wrong demographic for you, right? Like I have a very international audience. I work with international brands, and I'd probably say that my following that would be, let's say, Brisbane, would be not that big, right? It's probably like Sydney, New York, London, all these like cities all over the world that follow me. So I wouldn't be a great ambassador for that brand whatsoever. You're right. A mum blogger, who's worried about, good key ingredients for their children and has 5,000 followers, but she's Brisbane based, and she does, maybe she has her own product selling e-com locally at the markets here, but she has 5,000 followers because followers come to the markets and want to meet her and greet her because she's got 5,000-10,000 followers. Don't get caught up on the number of followers that people have and that they're geographically based to you, because their followers could be from all over the world. You want to find people who are small, who are micro influencers in that area that have pull as well in Brisbane or in Sydney or Melbourne, Geelong and Newcastle, depending where you're based. Those are the type of people that you want to have. People that have raw, organic, educational, and fun content that really like showcase their personality. People that people can like really like sort of, I guess, respond to or agree with. Their content. They're the type of people that you want. They're not the big names. They're not the big people that people with huge followings that come in are not going to do a great deal for your business. I think it's local area marketing also deserves local micro influencers. That's the perfect pair, right? And then secondly, it's reaching out. It's just DMing them, saying, "Hey, I know I know you're in the area," and it's choosing people who are on brand for you as well. So I get some real bizarre DMs, and I'm like, we're not a brand fit at all. There's just, if I promoted that, people would be like, what are you doing? That product makes no sense for you to be advertising. So yes, it's choosing the right people. And like, if you're somebody with multiple products, and the products vary, align a product with an influencer, align that product with that influencer. So it's being specific. Yeah, definitely. And it's DMing them. Absolutely. People with huge followings will tend to charge you, where I think smaller micro-based influencers, you can come to a contra deal some way. So they'd be offering the product free, a couple of the whatever the product may be a month, or the service in exchange for content. I think that's probably the best way to go about it.
So basically just ask.
100% ask. Yes.
Yeah. I'm always amazed when you respond to my DMs, because I think you probably got 50 million of them, and I'm like, oh, Shaun actually responded to me. That's amazing. I'm also not reaching out for bizarre things though, so that's always good.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get caught up, like, this is a mainline business for you, so you spend quite a bit of time. I loved the idea of making notes. In fact, I was on your social media this morning, and one of the things that I loved you did was in your bio, you say, hey, learn more about me, and you've actually pinned it as your first post. So go check out Shaun's Instagram. I'll put it in the show notes. But I thought that was really smart. Like, if you're following through and you go, hey, I want to learn more about Shaun, you clicked on it, and then you actually had a post that tells them exactly who you are and what you do. So that'd be a great addition. Have you always done that,
Yes.
or is that something you added because you noticed that you
Mm,
needed to? Or
yeah, I just feel like, I wanted something that showcased my personality and things that I like to do, so that people, and also just gave people the option to be like, I'm not into that content. I'll give you a quick breakdown real quickly. I'm Shaun, and I do this, and this is my favorite style of content. And I like to travel the world, show you guys where you can travel and what to do and what to wear. So some people are into that, some people are not. It just allowed people to be like, click on it and go, yeah, I'm kind of into Shaun's personality and vibe and thing, or no, not really my type of thing. I'll move on. So yeah, it gave people just a little bit more of an insight into what I was about, rather than going through and just seeing all the content. I guess necessarily as a shortened hype reel, but absolutely people can do that on their own personal brand page as well as their business. Definitely.
I mean, if we use that bakery example you just gave, wouldn't that be a great one to say, hey, I'm Tracy, I'm the franchisee here, we're on this corner, hey, meet the team. We specialize in providing healthy breads, we can service all your dietary needs. Like, a great little introduction to actually help you to
Absolutely.
get further.
Yeah. An introduction to the owners, the franchise, where it's at, and the product it's a good way to condense absolutely everything into one post and then pin it. Yeah.
So social media is one of those things where, creating content, it can be a time trap. You can spend a lot of time doing things. It can make you feel like you're busy in your business, but it doesn't mean you're actually doing anything worthwhile. Have you got some hints or tips to how to streamline creating that content as well as still maintaining your business and keeping it profitable? Because you're doing social media content and running a business at the same time. Well, you've actually got
Yeah.
franchises now, so it's not just one even. What's some ideas for how to make sure that social media content doesn't suck up all your time and energy, but still effective?
Content planning is a big one. Definitely. So, like I was saying, like a lot of, which is what I'm going to start doing probably either today or tomorrow. I've got a month of pinned posts saved into my phone. So then I'll go through and re-look at all of those, and then sort of write them out, and plan them about, what's the idea, the shot list, and some rough storyboarding and scripting for those ideas as well. A little bit of help with ChatGPT always helps as well. Like, describe your target or demographic and audience, and how do I change the script to be a little bit more engaging for YouTube? How do I make this script more engaging with a 2-second hook for Instagram? So that helps me. That ChatGPT helps me prompt that, gives me a little bit more ideas. But scripting probably about 8, 9, 10 videos, and then committing to 1 or 2 days filming. And then the best thing about content is that it can be pushed out. Once you do 8 videos or 6 videos, you've got 1 a week at least for the next 6, 7 weeks, depending on how much you want to post. So it is really about carving out time. If you also have staff that are younger as well and understand how social media works, I definitely look to getting them involved on that as well. But you really got to carve out time, because it's right now the cheapest form of advertising that has the potential to be the biggest and most successful form of advertising.
Absolutely. So I follow your content, even though I am not into men's fashion. I do like the travel stuff, but
Yeah.
I still follow all of your content because it gives me so many good ideas. I certainly take lots of notes from your stuff. But I've noticed, I think it was at the start of the year, maybe end of last year, you actually started doing more YouTube. You went into a lot more long form video, and you've kind
Yep.
of seemed to almost double down on that. Was there I'm assuming there's a strategic reason behind that. Why have you started to pick up YouTube? What's the feeling there?
The YouTube aspect it's not that it's not promotional. There's two aspects to that. I really miss the old school 80s and 90s versions of having VCR long form tapes of your family holidays and stuff like that. You remember the old handheld camcorders, and then you just chuck a video in and watch that. So there's a part of that one that I want to later on in life show my kids and stuff like that. That I've got long form videos of, like, where I got to travel, and the people I meet and friends, and then I'm banking up a very more raw, organic, documentary style version of stuff. So there's that element to it. The other part is I'm growing another form of business that is just I started from zero again, and I haven't really cross pollinated Instagram to get my Instagram followers over to YouTube. I'm trying to grow that organically, and I think I've got up to about 800 subscribers. So I'm in the position of feeling what it's like to start a social media business from scratch again. So I mean, I've got a little bit more knowledge around filming and all the photography side of stuff, which helps. But it's way more raw. It's way more organic. It gets people, I guess, into what it's like to travel and see me work with these brands. But also, 90 to 80% of it, it's me being me, traveling, being on a plane, being out at restaurants and cafes, and just being overseas without any pressure for it to be polished, pretty, look like it needs to be branded for a certain brand. It needs to look professional. It's actually very unprofessional. It occasionally incurs some bad language. So language warning if you want to go over there. But it's really just me setting up a camera, setting and forgetting, and just trying a different form of content that's challenging for me.
I'll be excited to come back in a year and hear your lessons of building that
Yeah,
YouTube and finding what works, what doesn't work, and how to do
yeah.
that. So before we kind of wrap up, is there anything that we've missed that you go, hey, that's a key point you need to know when creating digital content? Is there something else that runs your mind that you're like, don't forget this, guys, this is what you need to do as a franchisee?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, there's a couple of things. I think a lot of people overthink the content. I think you just need to create and you need to post, and you also need to get out of this sort of echo chamber of if I put myself out there, it's not going to be received. My friends are going to laugh at blah, blah, blah. Put it out there. 100% put it out there. The more you put it up there, the more feedback you receive. And also, one of the biggest things I think that has got me to where I am with my following is it's the videos that you think that aren't going to do well that do well. The ones that I'm like, holy shit, this is going to go viral. This is amazing, this video. They haven't performed the way I wanted, and I have put that piece of content on a pedestal, and it hasn't done well, and I've gone, I hate this business. That should have been amazing, you know. So I think it's a mixture of being consistent. It's a consistent and quality element. It's a bit of both, but I think just post and post and post away. Be yourself. If you are a franchisee and you are very hamstrung by what the head office allows you to do with social media content. And I know that there's a lot of businesses out there, for instance, our InExpress business, that we get given these just shitty corporate in like photos, and they're stock images. They don't even include our franchisees in them. They're just a bunch of people holding a clipboard or holding a sandwich, and like creative. There's almost zero creativity behind it. And you know, head offices go, oh, I don't know why our social media is not doing well, right? It's because there's no human element, there's no franchisee element, there's no customer element, there's no educational content, and there's also no entertaining content, right? If you are a franchisee that feels like they're stuck in this position, look to create your own personal brand. You know, if you're the baker, be the baker. If you're the franchisee and the baker, create content and push people to your page, which ultimately pushes it to your business, right? People want to buy from the franchisee. People want to buy from the people. Become that online personality, even if it's you get up to 2,000 followers, 3,000, 4,000 followers. That is a huge amount of people in your local area, in your local area, that are going to be coming to your bakery or coming to your accountant. You know, I've seen a lot of law franchises, right? I saw a guy the other day with like 100 and something thousand followers, and all he's doing is putting up hyperlapses of his gym's mowing, and he's like, and you see this 30-second transformation of lawns that he's doing, right? But he's pushing people to his franchising business. So yes, you can be hamstrung by what the head office allows you to do with your business page, your franchise business page. If you're thinking about becoming the ambassador to your own franchise, I would really strongly consider doing that, and think about the content that you want to create for your own personal brand. So that's what I would do.
It's really good.
Mm.
Really good. I love that you said, you know, you've got to get out of your way. I remember, I don't know if you were at that IFA, the International Franchise Association conference, when Gary Vaynerchuk spoke.
I
And
missed that one.
he said,
I'm really annoyed that I missed that one.
oh, I was close enough that he could have spat on us. It was fantastic. That he said that someone asked the question of like, when did you go on someone's podcast, or when did you do this? And he said, I always just had the theory that 1 was greater than 0. If one person saw my content, that was better than nobody seeing it. So he just kept putting it out there. So I love that you said, just keep putting it out there. So I have one final question for you. Take off your social media digital content creator hat and put on your franchisee,
Okay.
Australian
Sure.
Franchisee of the Year. And I think people miss that when you said that, you know, you were the first franchisee that Lindsay sold to. People might think in their heads like, oh, Dad was the franchisor, you got an easier ride. No, you and Sam were out knocking on doors, doing the hard yards. You guys really built that business and deserved it. Putting your franchisee hat on, Ian, what are some hints or tips to be more profitable in your franchise?
I really enjoy the benchmarking with other franchisees. We have, and we were talking about this yesterday, it's gone full circle, but we were really lucky to have a couple of franchises that were open and honest with sharing all their best practices with us. And at the time, they were the number one franchise in Australia, which is subsequently the one that we end up purchasing about 4 or 5 years ago. So we've become like a super franchise now. So those guys were really awesome to us. They're Jason, Wendy, and David. And they've gone, I think, yeah, they really helped us in terms of best practice for door knocking because we're a very hectically sales driven business. Looking after the customer service aspect. It's hanging around the best of the best within your network as well. They will really help you. Seeking business coaching from outside the business. You helped us a lot with our staff as well, and making sure that they had KPIs that were challenging yet achievable, right? So, I mean, you helped us a great deal with that because, at that time when we wanted to hit some really big numbers, you came in and helped us break those down to more bite-sized, elements. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So, I mean, that was a really amazing thing that you did. I think it gave a lot of people some confidence in the numbers that we wanted to hit. And also get yourself into a position with the franchisor. It's so easy to butt heads to franchisor. It really is. And there's things that we disagree with still at the time, but get yourself into a great relationship with the franchisor, that when things and opportunities arise where you can be the franchise to be the first one to trial something or run something, and that you're there to help the network. I think that was something that helped us a great deal as well. And giving back to the network without any expectation of receiving anything back, I think, is another big one as well. We called them entrepreneurs, as being an entrepreneur within the business as well. Sharing best practices, because the more you share, the more you get back as well. So I think those would be my key franchising tips.
And I think that's such a good example, because something that a lot of people don't know, not only did you win Australian Franchisee of the Year, but I remember that a year or two later, Bev from InExpress as well won. And I remember when she won, she stood up and she thanked you and Sam for, mentoring and guiding her to actually have that happen. And I think, I remember a franchisor saying that to me one time. He said it wasn't just about him having success. It was when he saw other people he helped have success, that's when he felt the most successful. So you and Sam have always been very giving back and have been very giving for us today. So thank you so much, Shaun, for, fitting us into your schedule. You're actually in Brisbane, which is kind of amazing every now and then.
So nice to be home.
Thank
My
you.
own bed.
Thank you for joining us. I'm going to put all of Shaun's social media links into the show notes. I highly recommend you go and give him a follow, just for nothing else than R&Ding, ripping it off and delivering some of his ideas and how that applies.
Please take my ideas. Go. Some of them are proven working videos. Go and steal them. I encourage it.
I expect you to totally tag me in a post when you do pairing of wine for your outfit. Expect to see that. For everybody else, I look like I'll be upping my social media content game. So come and follow me, or come to my website at tracyleak.com. Lots of free resources for franchisees. But again, thank you, Shaun, for joining us. And I look forward to seeing everyone next week on the Profitable Franchisees podcast.
Thanks, Trace. Have a good one.